Good morning, everybody. I thought I'd try a different type of video here. My thoughts were I want to try to get 2 videos out per week, but I can't build bikes that fast and I can't edit videos that fast, so I thought I'd just try to do a little more natural talking here and try to answer some questions that I've received on Facebook and on YouTube about these 2 bikes. So basically what these things started out as, oh, I got a great idea so I don't make anybody mad. These weren't beautiful 3-wheelers when they first started. Hold tight. So this is what we started with. It wasn't a complete classic beautiful 3-wheeler. It was definitely just a pile of junkyard frames like this that were just sitting in the weeds forever. The white bike was definitely kind of like that here, just all rusty. I think that one even had a cracked frame that we had to repair. So all the old Honda and vintage fans out there, don't worry, we didn't ruin anything valuable. All right, so now that we got the CYA out of the way, let's talk about how these things came to be. Originally, one of my buddies and I wanted to do some trail riding, and we were going to buy a couple of Coleman CT 200Us, those little mini bikes, those 200cc little guys. And Dad took a look at the picture of one of those, and he goes, why don't you just build one out of a 3-wheeler? I thought it was crazy, but this is what he ended up with. This whole thing was his design, his idea. He's got to clean it a little bit. Basically started as what you saw outside there. He ended up chopping the rear end off and building a rear swing arm out of another front fork. I'll show you in a little bit here how that all works. But yeah, these things are really blast to ride. They ride a lot better than you think, especially for being a homemade doodad. They've got the old 3-wheeler high and low range transmission, so if you put it in low gear, we've got everything geared so you can basically just walk them up a hill if you want. It's pretty slick. So after Dad got done building his, I of course had to build mine. I started with a little bit earlier model. His is an 83 and this was a 78. Originally had a really tired 90cc engine in it, and now I put a 110. I've actually got the build video for this bike. I'll post a link in the description below if you want to go back and watch those videos. It's like 6-10 minute long videos, so it's not the end of the world. If you want to sit down some night and watch all those. What do I got going on here? My headlights, this was the original headlight off of a ATC 90, but that was too small to fit on the 185S suspension fork that I put on the front. So I basically just bolted 2 headlights together and made that dual headlight look on it. Pretty sporty. Handlebars are off of a Big Red to give it a little more rise. The stock ATC handlebars that were flat, I was still hitting my knees on it. I'm about a little over 6 foot tall, but I'm all legs, so that definitely had to be rectified. Dad on his, he actually added a couple risers below his handlebar clamps to give him even a little bit more rise. Well, let's just keep walking around here. The exhaust. The back end of it is reproduction Honda Trail 70 muffler. That's on the 125cc Chinese Trail 70 knockoffs. We ended up chopping it about right there and then taking the original downpipe and exhaust off the ATC and chopping it right there and welding it together. Ended up making a pretty stock Japanese looking muffler. That was kind of the goal with these bikes, is to make them look like something that Honda actually would have made if they were as loony as us. But what else? Let's just jump back here. Oh, Dad's shiny new front fender. That's another good idea. I've got another video here coming up in the future because one day he was trying to be cool and did this. Whoa! So yeah, I've got a plastic welding and repainting video probably coming up in the near future on that guy. Side panels. These are made out of, whoops, you gotta tighten that sucker down there. These are made out of fiberglass, and in the build video in the comments below, I can kind of show you how that's all put, or how the side panels were made. What else? I don't know, man. I think it's time to take a, rear fender. The rear fender on my bike here is actually just a front fender that I flipped around, chopped it out to fit back here. Yeah, let's take the seat off this guy and I'll show you how everything works. All right, so let's get the seat off this guy and pull the side panel off and show you how the jack shaft works. A seat pan I made from scratch, and this is just a ATC 90 seat cover that I kind of modified a little bit to make it fit, and that's all in the one of the videos playlist in the description below if you want to check that out. Ooh, she's dirty down there. Yeah, this thing has about 2 years of really hard trail riding on it, but new kid took it. Let's get the side panel off. Well, I got the seat off. I'm just going to poke my head in here a little bit so you can kind of see. This is after about 2 years of really dusty use, but you can kind of see my bracketry here. It looks all homemade. I don't know. I kind of like that. Definitely lets you know that it was definitely not a store-bought deal. So let's get the brackets off here so we can get in a little closer. Oh, now I grab the ratchet. Let's get the sucker off. I wonder what Derek from Bicycle Garage is doing. How meta is that joke? Had a little Loctite on that guy. Yeah, I think for 2 years use, this thing's still in pretty good shape. Maybe someday, 2 years down the road, I might shake it down, give it a new fresh paint job, but she's still plenty fine right now. Okay, let's get in closer here. Okay, now that we're inside, kind of see we chopped this hole in the top of the frame just to give us an access to run the wiring and run the jack shaft through. What we got going on is there's a 3/4 inch keyed shaft that runs through here, and these flange bearings are the secret sauce. There's one here that bolts to the swing arm, and this swing arm back here used to be an original front fork that we chopped up into making the swing arm. So there's a flange bearing on each side of the swing arm, and there's also one mounted here on the frame, and that shaft just rotates on that the whole time. And a lot of people have asked about the steep angle of the rear swing arm. It's really not a problem with the jack shaft because here's the original chain that comes off the ATC engine. It drives this inner sprocket, so this whole shaft is always spinning, and it's also the pivot point for the swing arm, so you don't have to really worry about a tensioner. So motor runs that sprocket, whole shaft spins this sprocket, and eventually drives the rear sprocket. People have been asking about the drag that this introduces the jack shaft. It's not bad considering we only have one wheel in the back now versus the two on the three-wheeler. The reduced weight and the rolling resistance that was on the original three-wheeler, and we have these geared probably about 10% lower. It's got a lot more scoot than original ATC 110, so climbs like a monster, and it'll still get you up to about 35 mile an hour if you want. So a perfect trail bike. What else do I want to talk about here? I don't know. Do I dare? I was going to leave this as a secret. Dun, 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 dun. Nope, not going to show you. All right, the suspense is killing me. I can't handle it. I was going to leave this, but I guess I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek here. This is probably going to be a really big build series on the channel here, probably in the springtime when the weather warms up and I can go for a ride on it. I took a ton of video of this guy, and compared to the building of the white bike or the red bike, so you're going to get a lot more detail video on how the whole shebang works. So without further ado, hey, it's Dusty. Yeah, baby. So this is Bigfoot number 3. This is kind of the next, all the improvements that we've figured out what didn't work on that bike and that bike, we improved on this bike. This is going to be a fun one. I know she still looks a little homely because I don't have graphics figured out yet. I'm kind of looking at some pictures of some old ATCs and dirt bikes and figure out what I want to draw up for that. But I think this thing's going to look slick once I'm all said and done. Let's look at the improvements on this guy. Number 1 right here. Oh, mama, choke. We got. So this guy was a complete basket case junkyard find. It was sitting in the back of a junkyard under some weeds. The engine had the side cover off, or it was missing the pull start. It was missing the CDI spark advancer whirly bobber. It was missing. Pretty much the whole side of this side of the motor was missing, and it was underground at about this level. So it was buried, completely full of rust, and we ended up taking it and putting it on the engine stand and wired it up, and this happened. So yeah, that's fun. Those Hondas are amazing. But let's see if I turn some fuel on here. Maybe. Pull my choke. I think the starter's out on it. Yep, junkyard starter's gonna need a little work. Good enough. Wicked. Still a little cold. Awesome. Yeah, I'll pay a little attention to that starter later on, pull that apart and see how much rust is on the inside of that. Yeah, I ended up repainting or shaking down and repainting the motor. I'll have that on the future video as well. But let's pop the seat off this guy and I'll show you what's going on. Nice. Built the seat pan from scratch. This was a really thick gauge sheet metal that I kind of bent. Took the original ATC seat brackets and I chopped them down, and because I wanted the seat as low as possible. This is kind of a yoga mat foam on the inside, original ATC seat cover. I'll definitely show how I built that seat in the build video in the upcoming weeks, so if you want to subscribe so you don't miss out on that, that would be awesome. But let's pull this apart here and see what we got going on. Now, due to the electric starter and all that jazz, this thing's got a lot more going on the inside of the frame. I had to cut a little bit bigger hole in the frame and reinforce it with some really thick metal. Built a battery box from scratch, have the starter relay down in here. Everything's kind of tight. It's kind of a crappy deal. I didn't have a lot of room. Rectifier, all my wiring just looks all hacked together. I'm going to reroute these things in the near future to make them look a little nicer, or make like a plastic cover to go across this to keep it nice and clean. But yeah, you can see the nice jack shaft down there, all happy and pretty. I'm going to be afraid of driving this thing on the trails and getting it dirty with the fresh paint and all that jazz, but yeah, well, that's what it's built for. What else on this guy? Got a little LED tail light. Oh yeah, I also put H3 LED bulbs in the front because I put the original two halogens in the front, and stock wiring didn't kind of like that. I think I was running probably like 100 watts through that old wiring, and they were getting a little hot. So I replaced them with a couple bulbs that pull about 1 amp each. Lovely. A little bit of a blue hint, or a little blue tint to them. Looks nice with the blue bike. And the LED bulbs have like a little bit of a red housing. It's kind of cool when you look at them outside. It has kind of a glowing red effect on the light. So I think I'm going to go with some red stripes to kind of accent that, and yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But you'll have to subscribe if you want to see this sucker come together this spring. And also, if you like what I'm doing, if you click the like button below, that would definitely help me grow the channel. Hoping to grow the channel to the point where I could have more time to build more bikes for you guys. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So there the bad boys are. And again, I think I'm going to start trying to do some videos like this, maybe midweek. Hop on and take all of my comments that I've gotten on social media and on the YouTube comments and kind of address you via video instead of just over typing. We'll see how that works. If I have enough time, I would definitely love to do it. So yeah, if you want to leave a question about any of the bikes, just right down there in the comments, leave me a question. I'll get back to you. And again, if you can click the like button, that will help the YouTube promote my channel. And if you want to share my videos or anything like that with your friends on social media, that would really, really help out. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you next week.
Alright, I hope you liked this episode of Bigfoot Bikes and Brews. Click on one of the videos here if you want to see some more, and please click on the Bigfoot button to subscribe to the channel and join in on the fun. See you next week.